Hello. Hi. We have just gotten to the big shop behind us, which is Tesco, which I don't think you can see at all. And we are going to do, I would call it a weekly shop, but it's not really, is it? It's
3 days.
It's like 3 days shop. And I thought I'd share with everyone as to what a shop looks like, a grocery shop looks like for a bodybuilding, well, a bodybuilder and a hobby builder couple. Obviously, I am on prep right now as well, so I'll just kind of show you what I tend to eat at the moment. Now, before we get into the video, please remember to share, like, and give it a thumbs up whilst you're down there. Give it a like, and most importantly, subscribe. Also, drop me a comment as to what you'd like to see from this channel. Any ideas? Any ideas, Gaz? What would you like to see? He doesn't know what he'd like to see, but if you do, please put it in the comments and let me know. But now we're going to go into the shop.
It's going to be busy, isn't it?
It's going to be busy. I think, what time is it? It's something like 6 p.m. We didn't really think this through, so we're going to do our best to film as we go along. I'll probably share some tips and maybe some great sources of different nutrients, for example. Yeah, I'll share whatever I feel might be useful for you. Let's go. We spend enough money in Tesco, every little helps. Tesco club card. Right, so first things first, here's a little tip if you need to go shopping, not even just a weekly shop, quite regularly. The best way to actually stay on top of your shopping and make sure that you get everything that you need to, so you don't run out of anything at any point, you've got everything that you need in the house, is create a note in your notes folder if you've got an iPhone and share it with your partner. So literally share it between each other and have this little list where you can add things that you can tick off whilst you are in the shop as you go along, so that you've got everything there. It's a live document. Anything that you need, you can have there. When you go to the shop, you don't forget your list because you're most likely going to take your phone with you. And like I said, you can just tick things off as you go and not forget anything. So first things first.
Asparagus. We need avocado.
Blueberries. Yes, we do need avocado. So we got blueberries. I'm hoping that you can see this, and then I'm gonna tick it off and it goes to the bottom of the list. How smart. There's no pack. Are these good? Yeah, they'll do. Oh, I need a sticker. I could probably do with another one. One of the best fat sources that you can get, avocado. We got pineapple yesterday, peppers, asparagus. We need tomatoes, mushrooms. Absolutely excellent source of protein. Unfortunately, with eggs, egg yolks have quite a lot of fat in them. But what I tend to do is I actually have eggs and I add some more egg whites to them. So I essentially make huge fried eggs when I make them. But yeah, you can get these cartons, you can order big bottles on Amazon as well, I believe. And worst comes to worst, you can just separate egg yolks from eggs and you get egg whites. This is one of my favourite things ever. Another amazing source of protein with faye. I think that's how you say it. Is that how you say it?
Faye.
Faye, isn't it? Not phage, I think it's faye, I believe. Yeah, it's absolutely incredible when it comes to protein. I am actually lactose intolerant and there's not much lactose in this, so I can eat that completely fine. So even though it is dairy, you should be able to tolerate it if you can have a little bit of lactose without a problem. Now, if you eat a lot of berries, like I do, for example, now is the perfect season to be eating berries. But if you don't have them every single day, best way to make sure that they don't go off is just buy frozen. It actually works out a lot cheaper to buy frozen because if you think about it, you're not wasting any. You are not throwing any away. And I actually find when it's quite warm, it's quite nice to have some frozen berries to go with my cream of rice, for example, or my oats. It cools it down a little bit, and I can make it into, it's kind of like ice cream, if you think about it. Now, I always go for blueberries and raspberries. They're my favorites. The only thing is with raspberries, I always crush them. I can't have big raspberries. I have to break them down into little pieces. I don't know, it's just something I do. So salmon is an absolutely amazing protein source and fat source all in one. This is a slightly more fatty protein source when it comes to your foods. Do you want to scan it? You were just pointing it around as I was waving it around. But yes, it's really high in great unsaturated fats. So if you can afford to in your diet, putting something like salmon in to get that protein in and get some really, really healthy fats in is absolutely tremendous. Things like omega-3s, that's the sort of things that you can get in salmon as well. It's very limited in our diet what sort of foods we can get omegas from, so this is definitely a great choice. So this is the sort of packet of chicken I would usually get whilst we are shopping. How much is in here? 1.6 kilos, so that would last me and Gaz, well, depends on how much chicken he eats, just a couple of days, 3 days maybe. What my dad has actually done very kindly is when he came to look after Peach, he brought me some chicken that he popped in the freezer, so I don't have to worry about getting that right now. But an absolutely staple when it comes to getting a nice lean protein source in, chicken breast, or if you don't like chicken, if you've gone off chicken, something like turkey, for example, is a great choice. Some lean fish, like, for example, cod, any sort of white fish tends to be a little bit lower in fat, is an absolutely incredible choice. But yeah, any sort of lean proteins are fantastic to get that protein in. Obviously, we're in a supermarket and we are getting things that we would cook usually. But if you find yourself, let's say, you forgot your meal prep, you're on lunch break and you don't know what to do. Now, where is the ready cooked stuff? We'll go to ready cooked stuff now and I will show you something. You're right there. As I was saying, you forget your meal prep or you forget to go to the shop and get whatever you need to, you find yourself on your lunch break, you don't know what to eat. Every single little shop that you'll go to will have something similar to this. So this is a roast chicken slices. You can get roast chicken breasts as well that you'll find. You can get different ones. Sometimes they put some spices on these as well. If you need to go for something and you want to make yourself a nice, let's say, a whole foods meal, this is a perfect choice. Rather than a meal deal, for example, with this, you can super easily make yourself a high protein meal. You can get some microwavable rice, for example, get some dark chocolate to make up some fat. And there you go, you've got a perfectly good meal that you'll be able to match any macros with, essentially, and stay on top of what goals you have set out for yourself. If you were to, for example, we've got this, which is, the whole packet is 360 grams. Let me try and get a smaller pack. Okay, so what we've got here is 160 grams of chicken. Now, half of a packet is 21 grams of protein. So you could literally just have half packet, 21 grams of protein, and that's going to be, you know, a big chunk of that packet. Now, if we compare this to a chicken and mushroom slice, for example, bear in mind, this is just the protein. So we're talking about having some extra rice and maybe some fats on top of this to create that full meal, some veggies as well, we can get some salad. This one slice has got 26 grams of fat. 26. It's not good fat either. It's saturated fat, which is not very good for your body. It's the sort of stuff when you go to doctors and they tell you, you know, your cholesterol is a little bit high. That's the sort of stuff that causes that cholesterol. Fats are not the devil. Neither are carbs. But it's what sort of carbs you are eating and what sort of fats you are eating that is going to contribute to, you know, what your body feels like. But with this, whereas the protein, you only got 8.4 grams of protein here as compared to 21. So nearly 3 times as much protein with a small little portion of chicken. And that's not counting in the fats, that's not counting in the carbohydrates, which is 20 grams here, which again, if you were to make yourself a proper meal out of this, you would have a much more voluminous meal that will keep you fuller for longer and it will actually be much better for your body. They're changing things I don't like. Is it just me or does anyone else get upset when they change things in their supermarket? I don't like when they change the layout. So what I was talking about with the chicken and mushroom slice, that had 20 grams of carbs. Here we've got 110 gram portion of microwavable rice. I've got mixed pepper, is 33 grams. So we need about 2/3 of that. So let's say 80-ish grams, give or take. You're going to get about 20 grams of carbs. So that's going to be around that much of that packet. That is again the size of that just one slice that you've had, and that's just the rice. We've had over 20 grams of fats, I believe, as well to make up. With this portion, fats that you've got in here are 1.9 grams, so we've got about 18 grams of fats to play with as well that can make up the rest of your meal. Again, healthy foods do not have to be boring at all. You just have to put a little bit more thought into it potentially, rather than going for the really easy option with a slice. And these sorts of foods are actually going to keep you full for so much longer. So we are currently at a condiments section, and a really good rule of thumb that I have when it comes to condiments is I don't tend to track my condiments. I don't track it into my calories. However, I do stay consistent with how much I use. However, not every condiment is the same as any other condiment. So what you have to consider is the calories in those condiments. So like I said, a really good rule of thumb that I have is I'm going to get condiments that are under 100 calories per 100 grams. So here, for example, we've got French's mustard, and that is 85 calories per 100 ml. Really good choice. Now, for example, we've got garlic mayo, 636 calories per 100 grams. Wow. I'm going to put that back on its shelf. So something to just bear in mind, you know, especially if you like mayo-based sauces, they tend to be a little bit higher in calories because they use eggs in them, is go for the lighter options. So you can get the light mayo, or you can get lightest mayo as well, which is very good. Things like ketchup, you can get reduced sugar and salt ketchup is just so much better. It tastes exactly the same. No one can tell me that, you know, oh, you can taste a huge difference in these things. You can get some really, really great options when it comes to reduced salt and sugar ketchup. So this one, for example, is 64 calories per 100 grams, which is quite a good option.
I've only messed up, yeah, it's not great, but reduced it's 156, but the normal one is 224.
There we go. That's a really great example of, you know, how the reduced ones, you can actually save yourself a lot of calories by just getting the reduced sugar, reduced salt versions, the light versions of condiments, and I bet you won't be able to taste the difference. So I'm getting my oats as well, which are gluten-free oats. Unfortunately, I've got IBS. And one thing that I find with anyone who tends to have slight digestive issues, opting out for things that are gluten-free can really help with keeping that tummy feeling really great, because wheat-based products mainly can be a little bit heavy, they can be a little bit hard to digest, and they can upset that stomach. So I found gluten-free oats sit really nicely with me. Normal oats, not so much. So in order for me to continue having oats, I have the gluten-free ones. And again, I can't taste the difference, which is absolutely fantastic. So, one way to make sure that you get your water in on a daily basis is to literally set out what you need to drink out in a day in water bottles. I've gotten these. They don't necessarily have to be water bottles like this. You can buy refillable water bottles and literally set out to the side what you need to drink in a day to make sure that you stay on top of your hydration. If that's something that you're lacking, I think everyone struggles with drinking water, but it's just so easy. I bet you that you drink a lot more water than you think. And if you actually keep a water bottle in front of you at all times, you are more likely to reach for it. So stop with the excuses. Have a water bottle in front of you at all times, reach for it, stay hydrated, and get rid of those horrible headaches that you probably are getting on a regular basis. Dark chocolate is another, I would say, really good fat source. So if you like your chocolate, that doesn't mean you can't eat chocolate at all on a regular basis. Dark chocolate can be a really, really great source of fat. I would say going for something higher than 85% is a great option, because the lower the dark chocolate content, the slightly worse quality it is. But I like 90%, I actually like 100% as well. But they do not have 100% here, unfortunately, so I'll have to settle with this. We are in the bakery part of the shop, which is my favorite one. One huge misconception is that carbs are bad. If you want to lose weight, you can't eat carbs, which is just not true whatsoever. Yes, you can eat carbs, but you can actually be very, very clever with what sorts of carbs you eat in order not to go hungry. So, for example, if you are eating a lot of foods, if your priority is maybe to get stronger, you might afford to be able to eat things like wraps, which are quite high in carb, for example. And they're super easy to eat, because if you think about the volume, they're not high volume at all. You just wrap around the rest of the food. And one of these wraps has got 32 grams of carbohydrates. Now, another option of something that you can go for is you can go for bagels. And there's a lot of different bagels that you can get. Again, these are actually the lighter bagels that Gaz is getting. And they are 30 grams of carbs per bagel. So another great choice. If maybe carbs are not as high, you can go for things like bagel thins. So they're ever so slightly smaller and they have slightly less carbs in here. So per bagel thin, you've got, I hate when these little labels are folded over. You've got 25 grams of carbs. However, Whole Foods, oh, well, you've got bagel thins that are 18, I believe. Gaz is throwing different baked goods at me, left, right, and centre. Now, if you are dieting, and for example, you might be a little bit hungry because it's very, very normal to feel hungry in between meals, going for Whole Foods, for whole food carb sources might be a little bit better for you in terms of keeping volume high in meals. So things like rice will be a little bit higher volume as compared to a bagel. Another thing which is going to be even higher volume are going to be things like potatoes. So starchy veggies like potatoes are a great source of carbs, and they're going to be even higher volume, so they're going to keep you fuller for longer. But one thing that we need to remember is carbs are not bad whatsoever. They're an energy source for our bodies, and we do need it, especially if we are training hard. We need carbs in order for us to be able to perform our best when we go in the gym. Now, one thing which I want you to be aware of when you go into these shops, you'll see a trend for a lot of high protein sort of foods, and you'll see sort of guys just find them left, right, and centre, and you'll find high protein foods. Now, does your bagel actually need to be high protein? No, it does not. And I will say that 8 grams of protein per bagel thin is not that much. The normal ones have 5 grams of protein. So there's only 3 grams protein more. Just get a bagel thin and put some chicken on it, or tuna, whatever you fancy. But don't waste your money on getting these high protein things if you are going to be making a really nice balanced meal, because what they're actually doing is are probably costing you a little bit more for absolutely nothing, maybe 1 gram, 2 gram, maybe 3 grams of protein extra, which is actually not much whatsoever. Sourdough bread is my all-time favorite carb source ever. Thankfully, I get to eat it every single day still, even though I'm dieting. Again, like I said, it's one of those where it's a little bit denser in terms of calories and carbohydrates. So volume-wise, you might not get as much as you would do with, for example, potatoes. But I absolutely love sourdough bread, and it actually sits really, really well with me. It might not do with everyone, but sourdough bread as compared to normal toast bread, for example, what's great about it is what it does is it provides your gut with fuel for all the microbes in your intestines, for them to be able to digest food really, really well. So even though this is not it's not the same as fermented foods, which are great for those microbes, so things like kimchi, sauerkraut. It's not exactly the same, but what it does, it provides the fuel for your gut to be able to continue working super, super great and continue to digest all the other foods that you might have in a day as well. Okay, so it gets to lunchtime and you like to have a chocolate bar at lunchtime. And there's nothing wrong with that, I understand why you might not want to eat dark chocolate, for example. But again, we can be quite smart about what sorts of things you might eat in order to be able to continue to work towards your goals and essentially not eat all of your daily calories in chocolate bars. So rather than going for a meal deal chocolate bar that might be something like 250 calories, why not pop out to the shop before you need to go to work, so do your weekly shop and go into the section where they have all the sort of lunchbox sort of chocolate bars, etc. So you can get a little pack of Time Out chocolate bars. These are the milk chocolate orange ones. Each bar is 94 calories. As compared to 250, I'd say it's pretty good. It's a little bit smaller, but it will still give you that essentially sugar fix and chocolate fix that you probably want. Another one, these are the dark chocolate ones, 91 calories per one. Rocky, what? Per one, 95 calories. Special K, 78 calories per bar. So there's so many different options of what different little chocolate bars they could get, which are under 100 calories. They can have guilt-free every single day, because rather than having one chocolate bar and that being about 250, 300 calories even, you can have under 100 calories for a chocolate bar and allocate that other 150 to 200 calories for your other meals, for your normal, nice, nutritious meals that you'd have during your day. And again, not feel guilty, still get your chocolate fix and not have to sacrifice on your goals either. I will say though, this is not a nutritious meal in any shape or form. This little pot, 415 calories. And that's just the original curry. Sticky rib,
Uni cuisine, that was.
402. You could have a chocolate bar, a little chocolate bar, like I said. You could have half of that packet of chicken that I've showed you before, some of that rice, some veggies, and a chocolate bar, and it'd probably be less calories than this. Easily. Whoa. No, probably. There would be less calories than this. It'd keep you full for a lot longer. We have just finished. Got our shopping in front of us, just paid. Now I've got a little game for you. Let me know in the comments below as to how much you think this whole shop has cost. I'm going to show you what the shop briefly looked like now. Yeah, we have got 3 bags. We've got some things I don't think that we showed. Things like kitchen roll, for example, you know, essentials. How much do you reckon this whole shop was? Like I said at the beginning of the video, I think this will last us a few days. Depends on what it is. Things like bread will probably last us 2-3 days. Other things might last a little bit longer, but we will have to come back to the shop for some essentials in about 2-3 days time. But yeah, let me know in the comments below as to how much you think that whole shop cost. Always put your trolleys back. Don't leave them in the middle of the car park. That's just a little message to everyone. Now, shop is all done. We're gonna go home, unpack, put everything away, and that is it. Have you got anything to add, Gaz?
You can't leave them hanging. How much did it actually come to?
How much did it actually come to? It actually came to, how I deleted the notification. Shit. It was just over £100.
104.
It was £104. There we go. At least you remember. Yeah, unfortunately, I kind of got distracted because they needed to check our basket. You know, the typical, you self-scan, but you end up being the person that they need to check all the shopping for. So it's one of those. But yes, £104. Unfortunately, shopping is getting more and more expensive. But at least we are collecting points on the club card. So we are going to get a little bit back from that. And I think we've saved a little bit of money as well with club card prices as well. I hope this video was helpful, just to see what sort of things I tend to eat. I hope you found the little things that I have shared helpful as well. Now, if you haven't done it already, make sure that you like this video. Go down and press the like button. Whilst you're down there, leave a comment and also subscribe. Most importantly, subscribe so I can continue to keep this channel going and continue to put out a lot of different content for you. So whether that is educational, helpful, or maybe interesting, anything that you find interesting, let me know what you'd like to see from me next. But for now, I will see you in the next one.